Hey, how are you? Sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come. No. Normally I do Taco Tuesdays trying to figure out, or not figure out, but read this Orion's Belts. This is probably the last segment of the reading, but yesterday I was moving furniture, getting evicted. Which sucks. But that's the situation with the great Tronald dump, the worst economy since they started recording economies. Which really drives the point home when you have a power outage first thing in the morning. Is what you wake up to. Is nobody's really paying attention to climate change, and the economy is trash because we elected fascists. Yay. Anyway, last left off talking about more fitting ends. It's a real small section, and I think I hit it last time, but it's basically talking about fitting and why play the rat race? Just have fun going with cheap expenses. It's not like you can really own anything these days anyway, with all the rent-seeking behavior out there. Brutal. Share with me all of your pain. Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, is the anecdote for that. It's from People Say by Portugal the Man. All the people say that da-da-da. What a lovely day, yeah, we won the war. May have lost 1,000 men, but we'll lose no, we got 1,000 more. All the people, they say. This game is pay to win. Most games are when it comes down to it. In a sandbox, there are no definitions for winning other than the ones you and Charlie Sheen accept. There will always be fights outside what you can take. It's easy to misjudge a scenario where you might feel like you're bringing overwhelming force down on a ship that's been upgraded to an unassailable peak. If you can twist every loss into laughter and make a win of any explosion, there is more game here for any lifetime. If you fit yourself first, what fits you fly won't matter. A few of my favorite ships. I aim true and the ground's where I go. Too Sweet by Hosier. Oh, yeah. I take my whiskey neat, my coffee black, and my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me. Rifters and belters and statues of kittens, catalyst miners and legions of Tristans. Rowdy Rosie is a rifter. I accidentally killed a succubus with a rifter. The kill mail belongs to the fleet I was scouting for, but guilt makes me keep it. Keep trying to return to sender as a result. I did less than a percentage of the damage squishing that little bug, but whoo boy, did that rifter become my favorite as a result. Rosie died a few times since then, but never for long. She rocks a will of steel nanocore that makes her look a bit like a Lego spaceship cobbled together from odds and ends. About half a year after her christening and designation as the mightiest T2 ship in the universe, the first and farthest leveled nano in my navy, she became my chosen camera chaser and emissary. Rosie has a dozen sisters, not the expected 9, each with old recruit nanos and more yet unassigned. I run angel faction missions in empty rifters. Those that survive a daring dip through the black earn no name but ascend as Rosie's siblings. They don't get easier gigs, but there's a nice paint job for them at the very least. Rosie's greatest ride came in support of a major fleet action against the Silent Alliance. As a scout with a micro warp drive and a cloak, I dove through gate camps in search of enemy formations. Once found, I lingered at their periphery and updated the Alliance FC on our side of their movements. There were many close calls. Friendly interceptors zoomed through bubbles I had to manually slide through with every ounce of cunning I could muster in such a chaotic environment. I was not directly responsible for the rout. The interdictor that managed to split the enemy body as it moved to cut off our assault forces gets that honor. The Rosie's little cannon got a piece of larger prey that day, nipping at the heels of battleships caught outside their defensive formations. Our own ships of the line descended close in among them, tearing their support craft from stem to stern. Rosie met her end, resting on her laurels. Parked and perky, she first bought the farm while tickling the shields of an enemy station, stationary after so exhausting a battle. The interceptor next to her avenged her not long after. Still, I like to think the enemy knew the real threat would ever be Rowdy Rosie. I loved that fight. That was a really good battle. Because they picked the wrong target. There was absolutely nothing Rosie could do other than, pester the shields. She had no damage. She had no value other than the emotional value that I had, like scouting with her. But they picked her first. And then the interceptor got the kill, which was that's perfect escalation of force. They attacked the wrong target, gunning for easy prey, and as a result lost so much more. Anyway, Sleipnir. Love that name. It's a hurricane prototype. Sometimes, when I feel brave, I build pipe cleaners. Heavy interdictors are formidable in their own right, but with teamwork, even the toughest clogs can be cleaned out. The best fight found Sleipnir in a cul-de-sac constellation. The bottle was packed with faction battleships and support craft. Thankfully, they didn't keep a lid on it, choosing instead to give chase after I first slow-crawled off and away from their main blockade. Likely, they meant to prevent a log-off escape deeper in, or capitalize on their faster warp speeds to meet me where I intended to hide. Either way, they gave chase. The Mark V cloak on the Hurricane prototype did a lot of heavy lifting to hide the battlecruiser's bulk. Jumping was a close thing. I bounced off of the sun and into the gate towards the inner loop of their cluster of stations, only shaking one of the heavy hitters. On the opposite side, a lone Thrasher interdictor had something to say. I took some paint with me as Sleipnir slipped past the bubble's lip. No less than 136,798 Macarials came through as I jumped away, if a one did. I jumped to the planet at the distant gate in the pipe anchored off of. This granted me a glance at the passing pack of warships as they landed on the likelier location. Like Keystone's cops, the Big Macs jumped at my planet as I joined my destroyer friend back on the entrance. That 180 spin lasted longer than some of my relationships, let me tell you. Anyway, Sleipnir escaped that day. The Desi needed to keep the way open for its allies. Not sure where the blockade at the bottle's entrance went, but I managed to bounce through the exit well enough. Sleipnir now serves as my main base buster among a stable of submissive cyclones. I've actually got Sleipnir stationed off of where I'm doing the next project, Operation Ignition. There's Firewalker Base, and then there's the Rose Garden, about 8 jumps off. Sleipnir is at the Rose Garden at the moment. I don't pull her out very often, but when I do, she feasts on Tech 5 anomalies, looking for small or what are they called? Small or wrecks. Those are the best bang for your buck for anything below Tech 4, but in Tech 5 they're decent income because the drop rates are okay. The downside is you get ships that are too big. They're not worth as much since everybody goes for the big ships and they only build transports, and you got to be a little bit lazy to transport missions, even though those are the best ISK in the game, because there's no risk. There's no risk. It's free ISK, and they give you blueprints. Anyway, the Thieving Magpie. It's a Magnate Covert Ops. Back when this iteration of New Eden was young, story missions dropped loot. One of the easiest ways to make low-risk ISK was petty theft. With an inertial stabilizer and moxie, I bounced back and forth in plain view of farming warships to snatch their fairly stolen goods out from under them. This funded the efforts that built my first faction frigate. It was slow going, but built a special attachment for beak-nosed magnates ever since. Azrael II. It's a Dramiel. I signed up for Eve Echoes knowing full well it was pay to win. Still, I justified purchasing Omega every month by assuring myself I wouldn't spend as much on this free-to-play game as I had on League of Legends. While I kept that promise, it led me to learn a very hard lesson. Building faction frigates from scratch seemed in range for my thieving, reprocessing, and semi-passive mining efforts. It took a couple of months and change, but I managed to gather everything the blueprint asked for, and set that puppy cooking. I dressed my doll up in all the prettiest gear. For a frigate, she looked mean both in stats and in stature. To put the Azrael through her paces, I chose a T5 base. Warped in, got scrammed, slammed, and found myself in a pod before insurance was a thing. It was devastating. Imagine feeding a puppy, training it to hunt only to accidentally hit it on the first foray into the field. A second Azrael lives on as a glorified shuttle. She met her end recently on an impossible bodyguard gate, but compared to the first love's loss, this one tickled. Oof. Big oof. Here's to the Cinnin Bun. It's a Cinnable. Cinnin Bun, the slaughter melon cicada, is the newest addition to my stable of favorites. She warps faster than a shuttle, but carries everything an explorer could ask for and then some. She's a bit like this book's baby, as I built her in service to the text you see before you. I've learned a lot since Azrael's inception, but she only took a month to fully gestate. Even in 27 years, she will never pay for the investment I put into her, but some trouble is worth paying for. The Cinnin Bud is my favorite courier. She has all of the carrying capacity of a covert ops frigate, about 1,200 cubic meters, and she warps faster than a shuttle, which means anywhere in low sec or high sec, I have the fastest ship, potentially, for moving goods. Which, you don't need that much. It's over-designed, but I'm riding in style, and the art, she looks amazing. Okay, if I have her in the stable, I'll show her through my phone. Hold on. I want to show you the slaughter melon. Nope, I'm not at that station at the moment, so you're going to have to miss out. Maybe I'll post a picture in the next project. Anyway, Zagreus and Melanoe. Both are cryos. I wanted the security of the Nereus high mobility with its covert ops cloaks and the utility of a basic Nereus. Alphas don't have that privilege. Instead, I settled on the lower cost cryos. This subsidized learning the cloak trick for smuggling by running face first into hell space, back when they were a thing. I forget which nano goes to the son of Hades and which goes to the daughter. There are so many new siblings, it doesn't matter much, but none get the same investment of experience over the years. Forest. Adventure 3. I try not to get attached to resource extractors. It's hard not to love the plucky little tachikomas, but there it is. Ventures don't get names. Naming each venture would be a bit like naming each individual nail while building a doghouse. You don't name the worms you stick on the hook and stay a fisherman for long, is what I mean. Forest is different. I have 2 mining nanos, both forests. Only the venture gets play through the alpha experience, but her big sister will get a chance to shine clearing the belts out of Cake Island and the surrounding environs once this draft is complete, and the plex I saved up venturing through wormholes and lost pockets of nowhere gets spent. Forest was rescued from Tsarholm safely, where other faster ships weren't so lucky. Tsarholm is a base that I have deep in the Black I had a whole bunch of Omega gear from back when I played Omega, and Forrest was one of the first to get pulled. Stationed him at Cake Island, which is Pator. There's a lot of miners out of Pator, even though like there's no good money really there, and they sell just basic ore. They're not actively shopping for what's it called? Compressed spaces is what I'm saying. They're wasting a lot of time. So if you're looking for either fast food or good competition, Pator's a good place to go hunting. Cake Island, especially since they're mining inefficiently. If you're a miner and you want to compete, go there looking for compressed space. I ain't messing with it anymore. Old Jack is a tall war sniper. Sniping destroyers were the best once upon a time. They came with the special sniping mode out of the box. Not 200 million ISK tactical module needed. No 200 million, not even a little bit. The ability to pick off frigates from 70 plus kilometers made tangling with even T-10 ANOMs as a destroyer pilot possible. Plink the flies from range, fry the big fish with an assault craft up close. It took work, sure, but cheesing such threats always felt more like play. The need to juggle sniping mode with defensive mobility meant more when a missed step meant getting swatted off the board by a battleship's blast. I understand limiting such wonderful tools as the tactical modules behind Omega, but separating the heart and soul from such ships took niche strategies and made them even more costly to interact with. The jack-o'-lantern skin is just the coolest on any tall war. The flaming grin, cackling eyes, and tinged glow of fluorescent flames make this lucky harrow drop my favorite pull. In an alternate universe, my funky little bugs might not have been so happy to meet glory and defeat without that stroke of luck. Legba's Thumbnail. It's a Shan Yu prototype, or Shan Yue. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but here is the ship itself. Let's see if I can get the zoom in. That's my baby Shan Yue. Looks like a banana dipped in lime, or like one of them yogurt pretzels dipped in some sort of chocolatey goodness. Love it. Love that ship. Old Jack's Thumbnail. Legba's Thumbnail. Papa Legba is the Loa of death. He hobbles along on a crutch and cane because one of his legs isn't so good as the other. He's got one foot beyond the veil, the other one here on this side. Good hoodoo. Anyway, Legba's Thumbnail. The Shan Yue line has the Sunchaser engine out of the box. This gets me into trouble. Decomposers have the tracking speed of long-range turrets and the outer range of close-in alternatives. Basically, they are only slightly better than the absolute worst of both worlds. It's totally possible to clear upper tech rats' nests with these limitations accounted for. The damage they dish is decent, but not overpowering enough to accommodate the limits. See, any hunter can under or outrange these dinky little guns almost on accident. Without the speed to dictate the range of battle, Shan Yues are dead. The cost to resurrect such little crescents, no matter how beautiful, is appalling. As such, Legba's Thumbnail is my favorite courier. Normally, the hour it takes in small fee to DoorDash my missiles into position is worth avoiding the half hour out, half hour back to Jeddah. Sometimes, I get too excited. If I catch a deal on materials needed for my fitting, manufacturing, or asset flipping priorities, she's the ship to get what needs getting where it needs to go. Shanwei? More like Santa, yeah? Deimos, the Gnosis. Got a little turmeric in that lemonade. It's pretty dang good. Prize ships suck. There aren't really any ways to make them worth the IP, but they're just effective enough to lure you out of the hangar. After they're unlocked for staying Omega a specific amount of time, variations on the Gnosis are usable even as an alpha. This is an insurance sink. Too slow to be a solo exploration ship, too brittle to be a battler, the Gnosis battlecruiser baffles me. No single fit has satisfied me. Yet the mixture between drones and high slots makes me want to believe there is a fit for me out there, somewhere. The name comes from the Greek god of fear. There's an inside joke there too, as daemons, background programs, share roots with Plato's daimon, or conscience. Gnosis means knowledge, and gets tossed around in a few different schools of philosophy, but folks tend to underestimate just how closely thought is tied to fear. Consciousness is an upstart alarm system meant to keep humans alive through prediction, but is today given far too much headway, as it were. Too much thinking is bad for your health. Too many sorties in my gnosis are bad for my stockpile of IP. The Nymph of Dawn, a Sunesis. This is my favorite ship in the fleet. Don't tell the others. Like the larger Gnosis, this prize ship is a mixed bag. Unlike the bigger sister, she has the agility to put her improved sensors into practice by scanning all sorts of fun goodies. She has the 3 mids needed to make the most of special blue scanner finds. Her drones can reach with the rigging to rack up rat ticks like an addict, and the miners in her high slots make her munch rocks more readily than folks who chew on ice. I don't want to bling out ships. I don't. The more expensive toys are, the same gameplay, but with bigger numbers. It's silly. The Nymph of Dawn is my baby. She gets all the treats. Back when I was streaming and podcasting with the boys on Echoes of New Eden, I found myself without plans for the Thanksgiving holiday. I had just tested the drop rate for opening 1,000 secret trafficking containers, and my pile of classified gravitational wave graphs had a few new additions. An expedition into the black felt in order. We gathered a fleet to celebrate. The green scanner granted little for our efforts, but enough was shared with the friends who tagged along that going our separate ways to get back into civilization seemed the best bet. On the last gate into town, I landed headfirst onto a gate camp. The nymph cloaked up, slender arms and soft shoulders hidden from sight. She crawled at a right angle, a couple 1,000 kilometers and more from the bubble's edge. They had 3 shots. 3 ships dove towards where I had hit. They even went one at a time. The tension still set in among my vertebrae, and I may never recover. The first went wide. The second did as well. Perhaps the third managed to scan past the cloak, but there was no warning. It looked wide. The bastardly dart must have just nicked the 2-kilometer radius of the bullseye. The nymph undressed. Sunesis looked like dragonflies. Just before the Nymph of Dawn was cooked, she looked more like a turkey leg. That death was the best Thanksgiving gift I could have asked for. The Satyr of Dusk. Algos Sniper. If I could only have Sunesis, I might. The closest I could come to copying the capabilities of my favorite destroyer comes from modifying Algos snipers. They don't have the shiniest toys and lack the nymph's bonuses, but research nanocores are good enough for government work. They're too reliable to have any good stories just yet, but give it time. They'll find themselves too far from home eventually. Zendaya, the Stabber Fleet Issue. 5 high slots is a dangerous number to play with. Most folks toss more damage into place. The Zendaya received mining lasers. I wanted to see if she could outclass a Venture. She can't, but with the 3 mids, healthy speed, and gratifyingly potent power grid let me play with a very strange build. I have 2 large, rapid-fire missile batteries strapped down next to 3 mining lasers. She's meant to hunt explorers. She's meant to scare off explorer hunters. Whatever she's meant to do, she's so expensive a hull, I rarely fly her. Stabbers remind me of the Gecko from Eureka 7. Dune reminds me of Eve Echoes. Combine these factors for the name. It's safe to say Zendaya might not be my favorite, but she's very close to dethroning Nymph of Dawn for that top spot. A love letter to whales. She can swallow me or help me swallow pride, like lions do by Right Away, Great Captain. Ba-dun, da-dun, dun, da-dun. Dun 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 dun. Ba-dum bum bum ba-dun dun 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 dun. Oof. Dear whale, there is always a bigger fish. There will always be a bigger fish. It's you, Lord of the Whales, King of the Deeps. May you lurk in ever darker waters, so others do not have to. A whole lot of Eve echoes is the Wild West. Mostly, this is because NetEase caters to virtual oligarchs. It's a strategy that works for the short term, but ends up cracking under pressure as appeasement leads not to satisfaction, but to frustration. Want is not need. The devs get this, and are diversifying their virtual offerings year by year as a result. They know how to make great games, and they're not going to stop. Ultimately, investing real-world money, not in the game, but in a digital asset, means the roof gets repaired even as the foundations rot. That's a poor argument for convincing whales to invest in lower-level players and smaller ships. Threats don't work. What works most is silence. Excuse me. Still, I love whales. This is my attempt at wooing them. Woo! Think of investing in the lower classes as a side bet. It's Plex insurance. It's also the most cost-efficient way to gain Plex over time. Selling big pays well, but the competition is stiffest at the extremes. This book is for you guys as much as for the alphas. The TTPs, operations, and strategies presented here are only made stronger with better tools, though the risks are made greater too. By focusing on the alpha top end instead of the ever-receding omega top end, players can put down roots. Even in the lulls between big meta movements, there is always something to do for those that build reserves. A rising tide lifts all boats. Please help me bring more alphas into the fold by hiring out at competitive rates. Or don't. I like exploiting low-cost minerals to claw more of the middle my way as much as the next guy. Even if I'm alone in my efforts, easier access to free Omega as a free-to-play industrialist is nice. Why would the wealthy want this increase in perceived competition? Remember, free players are not competition. They are insurance. Dead games don't hold value. Doomers hem and haw about the hollowed-out middle. Those fears are likely misplaced. When MMOs die, it's usually because bigger fish eat them. NetEase gets that. They treat competition very differently than how they interact with cash cows like the whales who populate their virtual spaces. Still, the free-to-play model that overtook the gaming markets demonstrates something externally true regardless of the economy in question. It is impossible to stay wealthy without sharing it. Currency stops being useful the moment it slows to a standstill. Where the wealthy miss the boat is in recognizing that investing in investors and financialization operations is a bit like giving the cow its own milk and expecting it to stay healthy. Short circuits accelerate rapidly until they fry. Oh, Mr. Andy, hold on. The same is true for economics sake. Andy, come here, bud. Come here, big Andy. Andy. Come on back to me. Hey, sweet pea. Come here, girl. Anyway, short circuits accelerate rapidly until they fry. Same is true for economics sake. It's the hole that gives folks who enter the snare hope, but the tightening of folks falling away or bailing is what tightens the noose. Put another way, glurp blurp don't work as a forever game. Each generation forgets this a little more in turn. We who inherit the wind Know what touches all is killed when contained. Drink love with each breath, and ye get a taste for what really matters. Higher taxes keep idiots out of the wealth industry. Such headwinds are literally synonymous with waste at worst and investments at most. The moment those go away, the grift is in. Any fast talker can capitalize on the fears of others. Few have the foresight to look for better games, choosing to ride coattails covered in bullshit. The flash in the pan growth feels good, but fails when the fuel runs out. Thankfully, there are plenty of alternative sources for fun in Eve Echoes to make the sandbox interesting. This book is meant to highlight that and invite more whales to take a walk on the wild side down here in the mud with us alphas. To be fair, why wouldn't whales want more free-to-play players? The increase in demand should make their stocks of minerals more valuable, assuming they've been stockpiling and not just building hand to mouth. The threat they should most be worried about is the devaluation of Plex. Devalued Plex makes for reduced incentive to spend real money to buy it. This makes cases of real-world transactions less efficient. Fair enough. Not sure if y'all have seen the currencies markets lately, but that should be the least of y'all's worries when it comes to spending power. Even folks who use virtual currencies as a means of laundering money are going to find it safer to hodl, HODL, for a minute rather than attempt to convert in ways they used to. Hold on, don't lose is what that stands for. But what about the Moby Dick argument? Hunting whales directly using freely fashioned assets requires teamwork. The strength of individually paid for assets will always exceed individually earned assets. However, this isn't true of soft targets, like stations. Bottlenecks can be overcome with good targeting and coordination. If two cruisers can force a fork, that is all that's needed to exhaust and spear any whale away from the pod. Taking down titans with spears and vinegar is next to impossible without help. Whale on whale violence is already the norm. Alphas can and will take advantage of that. We don't pay money to make it happen in game. We pay with attention. This is why employing whales for good, clean violence is generally the ideal scenario. It's often as easy as wanting to see a duel or manufacturing some personal slight to get their hackles up. Folks motivated by fear have a big red button ready for pushing should anyone recognize it. Thank God for insecurity. Whales are in it for the hype. Alphas are in it for the love of the game. It's pretty hard to explain to a normie the gap from frigate to cap without first including the intermediate steps. All of this is to the whale's benefit. Besides, there are already gentlemen's agreements on when and where caps should drop. Watching hundreds of battleship wolves run down one of the noble beasts that pushed the wrong button is a thing of beauty. The circle of life is majestic, even when artificial. Eve Echoes is just a game like any other. Time goes into the game, emotions come out. In the great sandbox of life, is there a better use for your quarters? Definitely. Give them away. Preferably, give them to someone you love. Some trouble is worth paying for. I love whales. I love pilots of any stripe, but I love whales especially. They make trouble worth putting time into playing with. Dark Souls ain't nothing without big, lumbering bosses. Eve Echoes ain't nothing without my beloved whales. Fly sexy. Gabriel Nekashea. Wish list. A siren sounds like the goddess who promises endless apologies of paradise, from Dream Suite in C major by Miracle Musical. A siren sounds like the goddess who promises endless apologies of paradise. Ba-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum. There's a storm coming. I should finish up. I got about a half hour and only this little bit left. We might be able to do it. Dear Netties, I've been a mostly good boy. All I want for Christmas are the following dream additions to this fantastic game you've created. Love, Crimson King. Tweaks and toys. That if we were to stop would pull us away. Sister Russ by Damon Albarn. Ooh! First time I heard that song was in Lucy. Lucy, great movie, and Damon Albarn is just an amazing voice, period. You probably recognize him from the Gorillaz, but he's done some solo work on his own. And he's got an in with what's his name? Jamie Hewlett, artist for Tank Girl. Punk as hell. Sister Rust, where are you now? I left you over Rocky Mountains. Love that song. Anyway, tweaks and toys. This section is potpourri. Here are the top few simple changes that could breathe new life into Eve Echoes. There are no simple changes, and the folks behind NetEase are brilliant. Seriously, their adaptation offers a perspective and scale that doesn't exist in any other mobile options out there. I genuinely believe Eve Echoes has longer legs than its predecessor, and look forward to decades more exploring, killing, and being killed. Still, everybody wants to rule the world. Here's what I would do were I king of the universe for a day. Alas, I am but the king of Orien. Fight Club. Did y'all turn faction wargames off for alphas and just leave the waiting screen as a sick joke? The way rewards are scheduled is meant to entice omegas, when it should be attracting alphas. If a game mode cannot be played without players, targeting an exclusive crowd undermines any of the work that went into that mode. I'm not saying the rewards should be re-examined. That would take effort. I just want to play. Send bots. Bots in faction wargames to reduce matchmaking wait times would give lower-ranked players a chance to catch up. Needing a 10-person fleet with a possibly fixed 10-person opposing fleet is prohibitive and silly. I'm an outlier, even as an outlier willing to invest far more than any sane or rational human being should. I can't get in on the action. Alternatively, Skinner box that bitch up. Make players drop dog tags worth loyalty points. Introducing ISK rewards alongside the loyalty points would give folks a reason to play that doesn't take weeks of grind. Plus, it would disincentivize corporations from hoarding access. If I am waiting on a game for longer than the game takes to play, the reward schedule had best match that expectation, or it will wither and die. Better yet, turn it into a gamble. Offer players the chance to pay the ISK equivalent of the ship they intend to fly before they play. They get out rewards based on their performance with deductions for replacement vessels. 2 million ISK a pop is a good round number. An expected value ranging between a normal curve slightly above that point should be enough. With jackpots up near 12 million, seems about on the level for the reward schedule as designed, from an outsider's perspective. As it stands, there's no risk and so no grip on would-be players that don't notice opportunity cost. It's the best tactical system in the game, with a good strategic system in the loyalty points market. If faction wargames had any sort of interesting operational interaction, it might be more than a slapped-on bell nobody seems willing to ring. I love faction wargames, I can't play it. It's better than World of Warships. It's World of Warships with a third dimension. Fix it. Save the minions. A change that would rock the game to the core would be to have the NPC AI attempt to arc towards targets when they intend to close within 12 kilometers. Little ships would become far more deadly overnight. Range fits would need to align target by target with more care. If this ever happens, AI ratters would need to either broaden their builds to account for the dodgier prey, or go further into overkill strategies, which would make more money for NetEase. Folks would complain. When have folks ever not complained? To really drive the market into high gear, make frigates target drones. Cracking ore. A bit of juiciness can go a long way in game design. Make a visual indicator when a mining laser stops within 10 meters cubed of killing a rock, or provide some other indicator. Nothing big. No reward is needed beyond the visual indication that the person paid attention well. Slow Factorio. I think NetEase should prey on smaller ship pilots more. If they offered an AI option for routing one bookmark after another, 2 max, let's not get crazy, I guarantee lazy players would invest. Programmable routes would potentially open up further automation. Being able to string bookmarks at a cost of fuel or some other resource like those used by in-game like those used by in-game artificial intelligence would open up whole realms of passive play and counterplay. Tapping a button that tells a ship, go here, do this, then go here, would be a long way towards workflow automation while introducing new vulnerabilities for observant players. Anything that brings life to the galaxy is desirable in my book. To be fair, this concept goes against most of what I advocate for at first glance. But I bow to the winds of change to live. The people want passive options. This would give small ship pilots similar avenues to their bigger ship parallels. Movement is where the little guys shine. Give them more movement options, and I guarantee you some big ship folks are going to experiment and get burned. Content. Weapon of choice. The lottery ticket system in the news missions is great. The main complaints I've encountered in the wild stem from a lack of variety. The subsidized mining missions are a great hint that stockpiling rocks is wise. They're rare, which prevents them from setting a floor for the markets. Good design across the board. However, folks don't hoard. Most pilots live operation to operation, saving only for the next big thing. Art mirrors life mirrors art. If more common mining missions were offered with lower returns, that might help folks get a clue. But there is a better option. Introduce a series of missions with alternative delivery points. Players can already make missions like this using the corporate mission system. However, they aren't because they're players, not designers. As a game designer of ill repute, let me state that the introduction of choice, even when it's illusory, will bring interest. For mining, perhaps different quantities of ores or different prices between points could give the players just that bit of pause needed to make things interesting. Should I get my rocks off nearer to home or go the extra mile to make a bit extra? Which destination gives the greater reward? Which offers the best use of my time? For combat missions, I'm going to pull from an idea that gets presented later on. I'm talking about small fleet missions of 2 to 4 enemies, but elite that guard a transport ship. These could be introduced as a way to drop some of the new toys discussed later, but the challenge presented is fine as a standalone. Kill the elites for higher bounties or steal the bacon from them by waxing the tanky transport first, but have the item that drops from the transport be deliverable to one of 2 locations. Offer ISK at one or some other item like the ones I talk about later at the other. For a strictly writing-based option, offering a Deliver the MacGuffin mission to transporters with an endpoint of one of 2 locations but different rewards would go a long way. Offer the smaller reward nearer, but give it some moral high ground to sweeten the pot and see how many play for story rather than simple reward. This kind of A/B testing is normally done through voluntary surveys, but there's selection bias in that approach. The secret to applying choice isn't to stray beyond desired averages. The house deals the cards. Let players pick which to play, and the mission system will be worthwhile even at lower levels for entertainment value alone. Faction Outriders, new destroyers and battlecruisers. Pirate faction destroyers and battlecruisers, please. They should be accessible to alphas like the current line up of lower tier faction gear. Finding alternate specializations wouldn't be necessary. Just give them the same sorts as their cruiser and frigate equivalents, but aim their design at more utility and mobility-focused interests. Imagine exploration destroyers with a splash of non-combat utility at odds with their slot efficiencies. As a ship class bonus or tactical module, let them spot planetary and player-dropped cans with a red scan. Let them spot wreckages with a blue scan. The bigger investments could be the entry point on skills that affect decoding efficiency to smooth the accessibility curve a bit for higher-end explorers. Investing in the more expensive hulls would cut both ways. Alternatively, giving the battle cruisers the same ability to ignore bubbles that interceptors have would provide more of an on-ramp towards higher-tier skills. There should be temptations beyond just bigger guns, pulling pilots towards that top-tier silliness, even as play pulls them back. Mining laser overchargers. Make Algid rigs circumstantially useful by introducing new, low-slot modules that multiply the cost to activate a mining laser, but offer both a passive and an active benefit. Mid-slots as an option would work here as an alternative, but defensive E-War doesn't need the competition as badly as defensive lows do, far as I can tell. Let's call them mining amplifiers. Amps would come in 3 variations, but each would passively increase the cost to activate a mining laser by an extreme amount. I'm talking line and additional micro-warp drive activation amount. Activating the modules would double both costs and benefits for a time, but turn off the gains for the long cooldown of the module. Detonation amplifiers would instantly take a percentage of what a full cycle would take while using the remainder of the cycle as a cooldown. Higher levels would grant higher percentages, but none should exceed half the effectiveness of a full pull cycle. The goal here would be to introduce more snatch and grab strategies to mining. Compressing amplifiers should compress ore as it comes, but less efficiently than other compressing options, as those use fuel rather than increased capacitor expense to balance themselves. Deconstruction amplifiers should allow mining lasers to target structures as if they were equivalent tech-level weapons. They would bypass shields to target underlying layers, but couldn't take away more than half of a station's structure. The goal is to create an option for degrading a target without directly threatening it. I would go with T7, T9, Toaster, and Nova as the names for variants. Mobility drones. This is my favorite. What I'm looking for here is essentially a moving can players can launch and potentially jump to. Anybody outside 150 kilometers can jump to a mobility drone. They could be destroyed like other drones, but have a low chance to drop on destruction. Just offering the mix-up granted by preparing bookmarks should be enough to clue non-readers into the arts of high-mobility ninjutsu. Each mobility drone would slowly travel a set distance before waiting to be recalled, unless they are destroyed. Higher-tier drones move more quickly by, say, 1,000 kilometers per second. That's a typo. It should be 1,000 meters per second. But each flies to around 300 kilometers plus or minus anywhere within 150 kilometers before parking. The variability is intended to make them more timing-based than consistent. Bookmarks should still be better. Warping to your own drone should recall it on landing, if possible, but the systems as they exist might work well enough to achieve that effect. I would call variations T5, T7, T9, Kunai, and Li Bai. Famous Chinese poet who I think he drowned standing in a boat, drunk, trying to touch the moon. Lockpicks. I want a high slot module that functions a bit like a single target dragon chant, but only counters locks involving scramblers. Give this puppy a super long cooldown. PvP is flooded with short points. I get that the general utility of micro warp drives needs a counterpoint, but the answer to what mids has ceased to be it depends. Warp core stabilizers are not the answer. Specialized responses can be. T7, T9, pocket sand, and summer dress variations as escalating distractions. Distressed escorts. As a treat for us Blue Scanner explorers, I want to pull a page out of Wormhole Space's book. The relic encounters are awesome, but time and resource intensive. Out in normal space, I think distress signals should be a thing. These bite-sized combat rescue operations for small ships would feature a captured/escorted transport guarded by 1 to 3 elites of the appropriate pirate faction. Balance the difficulty as you see fit, dear NetEase, but allow players to leash the elites away before engaging the transport to toss small ships a bone without leaving large ships in the cold. Slavers, prison ships, troop transports, these could match the format of the story missions proposed earlier, but have a lone industrial ship among the elites for folks to pick off to rescue any of the toys mentioned so far, or the professionals and trade goods discussed in the Homelands section. Scholar points. The collector keeps gathering cracked relics, even as the Scholar Points market remains missing. My stockpile of shuttles doesn't need the old version to open back up so their value continues to increase, but alternatives would be nice. I recommend doing a rotating series of faction shuttles next, please, alongside a variety of other options. Having a different store every season in line with the Homelands expansion schedule should be enough to keep things interesting. Reintroducing the old shuttles seasonally could keep the prices relatively stable, but not as extreme as they're getting. Not that I mind. For heaven's sake, though, make tactical mod blueprints available for collectors more than grinders. Give the weird toys to the weirdos. We're most likely to play with them. Reprocessing old, deprecated items for ancient relics would be neat for us folks buried in paperwork and cat statues. Having ISK alternatives for opened, ancient relics seems the most likely next step, but it really isn't necessary. The Scholar Point market remains lively even without a point. Hope Springs. The Homelands expansion. They used to sing about the birds and the bees, dirty paws by of monsters and men. This is the big idea I would go with for a next expansion. It borrows heavily from the design principles as they stand without requiring too much more than interface work from what I can tell. But I have no idea how the back end of Eve Echoes is optimized. Uh-oh, it's starting to rain a little bit. Better finish up. These ideas have the most interlocking parts, and so would produce the coolest emergent gameplay. But let's be real, this could be a game in its own right. Long story short, I want to give nullsec folks more ownership over their resident anomalies by allowing corporations to adopt. I believe corporations should be able to ante up resources as a bet that their pet anomaly can survive the neighbors, or strangers passing through. This scenario is already implicit, but unexplored. Making the bets explicit should spice life up for anyone interested in attractive opportunities. These special Homeland stations would come with massive warp disruption fields, mainly to make smaller alpha vessels the most cost-effective options for interaction. I'm talking big bubbles here, bait for alphas and traps for caps. Mechanically, the station at the center of the bubble would be a loot box that allows donations. After the defending NPCs are destroyed, it would allow looting of a percentage of the resources anteed and more. Each Homeland station can have professionals or trade goods delivered for a set ISK reward should the corporation so choose. It's a blanket reward for each professional or trade good, with no way to specify the incoming type. These front-facing ISK rewards should entice strangers to contribute to the cause, even not knowing what the homeland in question has in demand. They should be small enough so that they don't need to draw from corporate coffers, but large enough to compare to, say, missions or lower-level ratting. More on these new classes of items in the next sections, but delivering professionals or trade goods directly is mandatory. No warping directly onto the station. Folks need to slow boat past the guarding locals. Delivering such goods are how homeland economies are upgraded over time. The chosen economy of any homeland station takes in set resources for the ante, while producing appropriate payouts at the end of every week. Weekly lots of small ships seem best as an ante, and minerals sink at once, but balance depends on statistics, and as it stands, I don't have access to NetEase's tools. It's up in the air whether delivering ships for the ante should be done directly, or whether the best route is to have corporate hangars serve to build up for bets. I believe both options should be appropriate so that people outside of given corporations can contribute to the growth of any given homeland, but there is strategic reasoning in closing shop. Some folks are gonna xenophobe, and not always without reason. Just because little green men strategies don't work over the long run doesn't mean folks might not try them. The bets, and if they pay out, are emergent. Still, there should be levers of control available on both supply and demand, with the power to adjust rates into and out of the system. These levers should be pulled behind the scenes by changing conversion rates for items through the use of seasons of play. It's starting to come down hard. I need cover! I'm at about an hour. I'm so close. Let's take this party inside, y'all. All right, puppies. Come on. Come along, catch a heffalump. Sit with me on a muddy clump. We'll sing of days gone by. Bump, 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 bump. Ba-da-dun, dun, 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 da-da-dun. Da-da-dun, dun, 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 da-da-dun. And never wonder why. Come, 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 come along now. Bam, bam, ba-da-dum, dum. Dun, 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 da-da-dun, dun, dun, dun. Oh, there's a dog inside. Dang it. Okay, well. Little water never killed anybody. A lot of water killed a lot of people, but little water never killed anybody. You want to meet Sweet Pea? This is Sweet Pea. And this is Big Andy. Alright. Home stretch. Here we go. Seasons of play. Instead of a whole mess of individual clocks to monitor, I think Eve Echoes should explore some of the bigger bits of temporality available. I'm talking about the use of 2 seasons. The first would be quarterly, so every 3 months or so. Trade goods and professionals would transform based on this season, but so too should the scholar market, among other front-facing interfaces. Well, we're gonna go back. We're going back. We're going back. Come on. We're getting rained out. The panic. The panic. Oh noes. Oh noes. Oh no. Is there room under the tree over there? This is a bigger tree with better shade. Hopefully this works better. Yes, it's dry. Okay, we're gonna chill here. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable for me, but hopefully it's okay for you. Hopefully you've got a good seat. Oh, much better. There we are. Okay. Hey, Sweet Pea. Do you like what you see? Hello. Seasons of play. Trade goods and professionals would transform based on the season, but so too should the scholar market, among other front-facing interfaces. The game already does this to an extent, but formally using it as a tool for other means of player interaction is a huge design space that's currently unexplored. This smaller season should be either weekly, bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, or monthly depending on server requirements and player participation. Oh, that's a big ant. Well, don't bite me, little buddy. You are huge. Hopefully that's okay. We're gonna put our little toesies over there and try not to get bit. Faction wargames and standing tournaments could benefit from this smaller season, but the big reason I want it is for homeland bets. These concepts would help in designing new content for NetEase as a sort of rolling survey. A/B testing is best done as unobtrusively as possible. More people involved in the modules involving the smaller seasons suggests a faster pace would be welcome. The larger season already exists as a backstop to test new things, but there isn't a metric for pace of play to tune balance, while there are plenty for expenditure. This is partially why the tournaments that don't have a lot of lead up tend to lack for turnout, by the way. Economic planning. Homelands come in a variety of flavors. Each would take in a number of small ships at the beginning of the week based on their level. Defending the homeland should be necessary to preserve those ships, as they should fall available to raiders who clear out the defenders. Overproducing should allow some resilience for the ante, but let's stick to broad strokes for requirements in this proposal. The numbers of each required input should go up by a factor of 10 per level. So, for example, a mining economy should take in Venture 2s and Retrievers as the ante. A mercantile economy should take in Galente parallels such as Atron 2s, Catalyst 2s, and Cryos. Refinement economies should take in Minmatar equivalents, while manufacturing and infrastructure economies pull from Caldari and Amar staples respectively. There is a design space available for additional economies such as research, development, and pirate options, but 5 on an even playing field should be good enough to start. When a homeland is raided, a percentage of the ante becomes lootable, while some of it is destroyed. Any surviving ante carries over the next week, so folks are encouraged to keep filling the hopper with fresh meat, as even if an economy is raided every day through the season, the owners get something on the other side, though they might not break even costs-wise. No more than some percentage of any ante should be at risk over the course of a given small season. Higher-level homelands have riskier bets, more enticing drop rates, and rarer goods. Hello, my love. How's your foot? Okay. Don't push it. The rain feels nice.
Bronco just got here.
Nice! Where was I? Depending on the ante, the returns should be of the appropriate resource types, but primarily ISK-based for the corporation. The less liquid the asset, the more likely market abuse is to occur. Oh my goodness. Hello, Big Andy. Look at this dog. Ready? Andy. Big old boo. Ah! It's all good. Where was I? Balanced reward tables require an understanding of the overall economy, which I have neither the time nor data necessary to analyze. Let them eat scholar points for all I care. The goal is to get people demanding lower-level industry to fuel weekly prize fights. Separate from the weekly ante is the economy's level. The weekly ante depends on this level, and not the other way around. Raids can lower it, but with enough investment, those raids can be overcome. The economy's level is raised through the delivery of professionals. This follows a similar factor of 10 rule of thumb to the ante. So, a level 1 mining operation might only need 1 engineer and 5 miners to reach level 2, but going to level 3 would require 10 engineers and 50 miners. Let's break the 3 subcomponents down to their design goals over the following sections. The overall balance goals should lean towards making T10 bases with T10 economies nearly impossible to maintain without dedicated effort. Defending the homeland. Each homeland base has a delivery point defended by a fleet of NPCs. Players can help too, should they so choose. Anything that would prompt a criminal timer and low security prompts the local defenses to attack. Obviously, attacking the local militia is a criminal offense. The delivery point offers a different ISK reward for trade goods and professionals based on the local economy, but without specifics. Some economies are kinder to people, some to products, but each offer the same galactic rate of about 5 to 8 million ISK per. The variation is meant to allow folks to shop around, but it shouldn't be a deal breaker. Good luck sourcing items below that point with all the competition. The local economy determines the type of NPC fleet defending it, as well as the requirements and rewards. Whoa, thunder. The size and level of the defenders are separate from the level of the homeland's economy. These factors, size and tech level, are dependent on the delivery of different professionals than the ones that feed the economic level. Immigrants determine an anomaly's tech level. Criminals determine its size. Hello, Bronco. Hey, Bronco, buddy. Long time no see. This is Bronco the Hung. He is playful as hell. So, when he plays fetch, we threw rocks to clear a path, and he liked fetching them. He went and grabbed the rocks. He knows visually, like, the specific rock that we throw. And, like, we've done experiments with it. I don't know if he, like, senses it with smell or whatever. We've hid it among others. But, like, he's a very smart dog. Anyway, love Bronco. He's a good boy. These factors, size and tech level, are dependent on the delivery of different professionals than the ones that feed the economic level. Immigrants determine the anomaly's tech level. Criminals determine its size. Any professional that isn't explicitly required by an economy counts as an immigrant. Killing the defenders has an effect on their size and level only after the week is through and will require interaction over more than half the days of a small season. It is more cost-effective to defend a space yourself than to pay the game to do it, but whales can buy insurance in the form of T10 mobs should they so desire. Again, balance depends on more information than I have means or desire to explore, but the end goal is for the homeland's owner to still... Ooh, yeah, don't bite me. Don't you come near. Big old bugger. He's huge. Did the rain stop? Is it still coming down over there? A little bit or heavy? Okay. Oh, Bronco. We're going hard. We're going all the way. Again, balance depends on more information than I have means or desire to explore. But the end goal is for the homeland's owner to still make out with a percentage of gains even after folks steal their stuff. This should be a strategic target on par with moon mining raids, not a replacement for structure warfare. Material homeland rewards should be delivered directly to the owning corporation's nearest hangar. There is no bounty on defenders. That's big. Folks don't know what sort of loot they're in for until they've risked it for the biscuit. Getting the goods out is a trial in itself, and notifying the owning corporation when the defender's first wave falls would be a good rallying point. All big ships would need to melt a homeland's defenders, would be a leash and a way to get the goods out, depending on balance goals, requiring they get inside the bubble before being able to shoot could work to mitigate that, but blah 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 blah, balance disclaimer. Happy people produce. Upgrading homelands puts a demand on professionals, but they have a demand for trade as well. Every week, a homeland station will look for 4 new trade goods from across the universe. Hitting all 4 desired requirements in a given week doubles the earned reward for that week, whatever that might be. This trade goods desired bingo card is visible to anyone that visits a homeland. Folks don't have to drop off what the locals are looking for, though. Any trade good will be bought at the same rate. The level of the homeland economy sets the desired number of each good, increasing by a degree of magnitude per level, but this isn't publicly visible. Only the goods they're looking for are. Any that don't match the bingo card will be treated as destroyed, but paid for anyway. Spicier ideas. An elite training facility add-on could allow corporation members with the right permissions to field a ship of their design among the defenders as an elite. Heck, being able to design each defending ship in an anomaly would open a whole new challenge for players. Even better if they would need to supply the hulls and modules used on a weekly basis. A reclamation station could take in expired goods and produce loot boxes for random exchange resources. Scholar points, nanolattice crystals, even the rarest triangular coin. The exchange rate should be absurd, but the option would be nice. Training centers could produce Empire professionals, though it should have an element of randomness meant to augment but not replace market interaction. Broken homeland stations could produce immigrant traffic as the economy loses out. These poor folk could flee to nearby homeland stations regardless of affiliation. On their way, they should hit a random planet before jumping to the gate in each system to mitigate and frustrate simple bubble camps, but being able to bleed a civilization offers an interesting operational incentive. Better yet, allow players to build passenger stations as a homeland's add-on. Passengers generated by the homeland want to reach specific high-sec ITCs for a random ISK reward. Anything that gets ships crossing the semi-permeable membranes between levels of security will generate content. Moving goods. Too quick for the lies they throw. The Walker by Fitz and the Tantrums. Trade goods are produced at specific ITCs and are used by homelands. The trading centers that produce a good sell a limited number every season at 2 million apiece. Each jump between an ITC that produces goods and any other ITC increases the cost that item is available at for the given ITC. The limited numbers I wagged out are 2 million ISK at where the goods are produced, with a 500,000 ISK increased in costs per jump from there. Overlapping prices in this sort of algorithm go with the cheaper alternative. Each station starts the season with 100,000 of any given item. When a trade good is destroyed or delivered to a homeland, it is reintroduced to the market the following week at the appropriate price for a random ITC. There are 30 ITCs. I flavored out 20 trade goods, each produced at 1 or 2 locations. They are sold at other locations at the markup depending on the distance, but nothing should stop players from undercutting the sales prices or holding on to trade goods for a few weeks. At the end of every major season, 3 months give or take, each trade good not on the market transforms into an expired goods item. Get them while they're hot. Folks can buy goods and sit on them through a season, looking for good orders to recoup their costs. It's a slow gamble. Expired goods are mostly useless. Heck, even having them reprocess as a more randomized scrap metal would do. Whatever the case, expired goods should be exchangeable at any homeland station for about 3 million ISK. Basically, there should be 20 sets of 3 million absurdly priced silly little things floating around every season. Expired goods as a concept introduces an item to cover deprecated goods as a matter of course, though be generous in the changes, please. My cat statues. There are 5 different classes of trade goods, not including expired goods. Cereals, delicacies, fashions, technology, and medicines should be spread mostly evenly throughout the different ITCs. Here are some ideas for item names and where they could be produced. I even blurbed them. Netties, if you're looking for a writer, I am usually available. Funnily enough, they did actually have like a lead writer position open, but you have to be able to speak Chinese. Cereals. Adventures of Skip the Cat out of Istadard, a comic strip to celebrate your favorite feline. Dungeon Dove Romances, Asged, a fantasy series about fantasies of every stripe. Storm Riders, Renin and Maspa, Star Racers tour the universe in neon. Mercenary Digest, UHKL TAC N and Serpentis Prime, bounties, stories, and advertisements for mercenaries. Delicacies, Quaif Quattro, from Alantine and Ostingale. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. Special edition Quaif in Hafas, Solhwig, and cherry flavors. Bramble Star Wine, from Nibankier, a 0G fermentation wine for any occasion. Cerulean Spices, out of Jita, the spice must flow. Nuggling Eggs, out of E02 TAC IK and G TAC G78S. Salty, sultry, crunchy, sweet, and only mildly toxic treats. Fashions, Gold Seasonal, out of Avergne and H TAC PA29. The finest Amar clothing, and definitely not a knockoff. Vermilion Limited, out of Helluane. Remotely tailored on first wearing, the height of Galente fashion. Sebastor Leathers, out of Nakugard. Minmatar Minimalism in action. Custom Lifestyle, out of 9RQ TAC L8 and Itrin. Kaldari clothing looks cool but feels warm. Technology, Cherry Augments, out of Paikura and BMNV TAC P. Stylish and superior performance in subdermal implants. Robomoto Radials, out of Onamon. Civilian-grade scanners with military-grade specs. Kind Communications, out of Amar. Sleek and stylish long-range chat devices. Trips Neurologics, out of Tama and Petor. If you want to think your way there before the rest, take a Trips. Medicines, Vitalk, out of Camella. Motivation in a little glass vial. A little glass vial? Dermasynth, out of Alikara and Tashmerkan Prime, the most common first aid nanos. Model organs out of 4C TAC B7X, custom grown and never stolen. Fedo poison out of Kador Prime and Barrii, sure to make a big dead Fedo pile. Trade good prices in millions. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. My love of building calculators has led me to chart out the proposed prices for trade goods based on the algorithm outlined above. 2 million plus 0.5 million per jump from production site overlaps going with the cheaper option. If you're a numerophile, here, feast upon the data. If you're not, okay, I'll spare you. But here's the lineup. Now, there is some, ow, you bastard, biggity bastard, that hurt. I got bit. There is some value in these numbers as a range indicator from each ITC to the next ITC. Or you could take it as a homework assignment and go scout it out yourself. But basically, you could set up trade lines. You could calculate the safest routes using this, as I have. We're so close to done. The professionals. Hello, sweet pea. Look at this fluff. The professionals. I am a doctor, darling, who used to operate, but I couldn't stand the pain of healing. No, but I couldn't stand the pain of healing. Fuck. I messed up the song. But it's from The Wondersmith and His Sons by Astronautilus. Each professional is in demand by every homeland station to expand, but the rates vary based on the local economy. The wrinkle is that ITCs want them too. Pros may be sold into employment at the ITCs where they are demanded for 4 million ISK. All other trade centers will pay for them as well, but only at 200,000 ISK. The rewards for delivering professionals to homelands vary as discussed earlier, but should be competitive, just not always better than the in-demand price. This sets the floor at different levels in different parts of the universe. It creates a comparative advantage for specific economies that produce certain professionals and the players willing to deliver where they're demanded. In addition, at the end of every 3-month season, any professionals not on the market have a chance to retrain, changing into a different type. All odds should be relatively equal to make the implicit gamble in hoarding professionals easy to parse. However, this is a lever for balance. I believe professionals should drop from the distress signal missions I wished for earlier, but especially from destroyed pirate bases and on-board anomaly industrial ships. No specific rates are given. In describing each, I mention where we should look for them. Scientists, engineers, entertainers, pilgrims. Each empire has a professional that they tend to produce more of. Similar to data, they should drop in a mix, but primarily where you'd expect to find them. Expect to see them dropped alongside mining modules at slightly higher rates than the mods, and regular anomalies. Unlike data, each empire has standing orders for professionals. The places that want particular types will offer 2 million ISK per, while the places that aren't actively looking for them will pay a finder's fee of 200,000 ISK. Homelands will take them at a rate between 4 and 7 million ISK per, but there is nothing stopping corporations from placing orders above market and recouping some sunk cost on delivery. Galente want pilgrims, Kaldari want entertainers, Minmatar want scientists, Amar want engineers, which is why they can't leave the poor minis alone. Feel free to change the desired location seasonally to spice up trade routes. This is also a rough guide to what specific economies might prefer. At first blush, I suspect having one professional highly desired to level the economy, a secondary slightly less desired, and no need for the other two as anything more than immigrants would work best. The rate would be 2 and 1, turning into 20 and 10, then 200 and 100, and so on until an economy reaches level 10. At the end of each 3-month season, the universe does not want me to finish this. It's It's been a lot. At the end of each 3-month season, trained professionals that are not on the market become immigrants. Either their skills fall out of practice, or circumstances force them to change careers. These guys exist as the demand-side toys compared to parallel trade goods supply-side gameplay. The water damage is making it hard to read, I'm sorry. Miners dropped primarily by bases in high-sec. Miners dropped primarily by bases in high-sec. Miners are needed to upgrade every major economy. Null security ITCs want miners and will pay 2 million ISK for each, used to strengthen economies alongside trained professionals like scientists, engineers, etc. Laborers might be a better title, but I like the idea of mining being the backbone of interstellar life, so miners they be. At the end of each 3-month season, every miner that is not on the market has a chance to become one of the trained professionals, not criminals or immigrants, or remain a miner. Criminals. Dropped primarily by bases in low-sec, criminals are ostensibly the pilots in a homeland's local defense forces. High-security ITCs want to bring criminals to justice and will pay 2 million ISK for each, used to strengthen the defending NPCs at homeland stations, each base building an increasing amount of criminals to raise the tech level of that defending fleet. At the end of each 3-month season, every criminal that is not on the market has a chance to reform themselves, becoming either an immigrant, a miner, or staying a criminal. Immigrants. Dropped primarily by bases in nullsec, but also by raiding homelands, immigrants are the backbone of any expanding economy. They are effectively blanks who can increase the size of fleets or be held onto until they retrain in order to invest in the future. Low security ITCs want immigrants and will pay 2 million ISK for each. They are used by homeland stations to add more NPCs and waves to the defending fleet. Details would require balance, and damn it, Jim, I'm a data scientist, not a psychic. At the end of each 3-month season, every trained professional that is not a miner or criminal or on the market becomes an immigrant. At the end of every 3-month season... God damn it, please. I just want to finish this thing. I'm so tired of getting shit on. I'm sorry. I wish I could finish this without getting shit on by the universe, but... Oh. 2 pages left and it decides to come down even harder. Fuck you. Immigrants. They are used by homeland stations to add more NPCs. Damn it, Jim. I'm a data scientist, not a psychic. At the end of each 3-month season, every trained professional that is not a miner or criminal or on the market becomes an immigrant. At the end of every 3-month season, every immigrant that is not on the market becomes a random professional, to include becoming immigrants again. Nobody is homeless forever. Outside. Video Games by Tenacious D. Let's take a shower together. Don't worry, I'll keep my clothes on. Probably. Tell you what, read this, then go take a shower. Bring the biggest spare cup in your household with you. Take a normal shower, but fill the cup with water. Leave it in there overnight. The next day, you shower daily, yes? Take an especially hot shower. When you're ready, focus on your breathing as you pour the cold cup water over yourself. It's room temperature, but it won't feel that way. Feel the sensation. Notice how difficult it is to think through the experience. This mental reset is good for you. It's how hot and cold dips trick the immune system into going on the warpath. Anyway, after you've endured the cold, notice the temperature of your normal shower feels even hotter. Nothing has changed but your experience. The hot made the cool colder, and the cool made the hot heavier, ladies. You can flip the script in the same shower if you'd like to test this out. Turn the heat up super high and fill the cup if you're feeling daring, or use your normal hot. Then, turn the shower itself slightly colder than you'd think you can take for as long as you can manage. The pages are starting to stick together because of the rain. Breathing helps. Your body will attune to the strain. Then pour the hot cup over your bits. The hot shocks. Sensation is relative. The focus that comes from paying attention accentuates the feeling. To experience more life, you must learn to stretch your boundaries. Take as much as you like. Taking is a kind of giving, usually. There's more, but not in this book. Time as an alpha will put omega options in perspective. Likewise, earning the plex in meat space or space can lend a new appreciation for the consistency offered by lower level alternatives. If you are using an Explorer frigate as a gate camera, you are not sending the message you think, for example. It is fun to punch above your weight, but not always. The immaterial gains will carry you. Do things that humble you. Get wrecked by the waves of small ships in a T4 by using a vessel better tuned for bigger fish. Attempt higher tier content you know has killed you before. Try new things. Fail. Fail faster and never in the same way twice if you can help it. This book is something like that for me. Your turn. Go write your own collection of war stories and weird advice. Next on the docket for this dork is another novel, and maybe skiing lessons. Using the kind of ISK efficiency Moneyball mindset in real life goes a long way towards making hard times easier and easy times so much sweeter. Really? Fasting before meals isn't just a religious stricture. It makes the meals taste richer while pulling agitation out of the subconscious. I will finish this if it kills me. Meditation, like the kind found in performing routine tasks where thoughts naturally evaporate, convert breaths into dopamine bursts into happiness. Exercise is best for this. Awareness of physical satisfaction and gratitude for the ability to exert ain't just for the yogis. Rucking will do. Demons move in straight lines. That is to say, the daemonic motive the daemonic motive on a conscious prompt will drive a person from point A to point B without consideration of anything outside the drive. That's part of the reason why I want to finish this so bad, is like, I've been working at it every week, Tuesdays, and I missed yesterday, because, like, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're gonna get, it doesn't equal reward. The hardest jobs I've done have paid the least. The easiest jobs have been, like, extremely fulfilling and paid the most, but the only way to seemingly do those easy jobs is to kill people, and I don't want to do that anymore. Folks governed by fears are driven by the demonic. If you believe otherwise, you're right. I have no intention of arguing with folks whose personalities are store-bought. Etymology ain't the stuff of dreams, and memetics ain't just cats in tubes. The point is, there are plenty of roses worth a sniff. This is true in the depths of the unknown and procedurally generated as it is on a daily walk. Emergence is rare in the artificial, but the hallmark of the natural and divine. I wish you joy, however you may find it. So serve what serves in kind. What does not serve you will enslave you. But this is in service of a story. There are no main characters, but there are plenty of perspectives in plays. Hey Bronco buddy, do you want out? Look at this dog. Look at this Bronco. Yes, it's just me. You're okay. It's the rain. We don't want wet dog. Wet Gabriel is fine. Emergence is rare in the artificial, but the hallmark of the natural and divine. I wish you joy, however you may find it. So serve what serves in kind. What does not serve you will enslave you, but this is in service of a story. There are no main characters, but there are plenty of perspectives in play. There's a lot of economic theory touched on in the strategy guide. Global systems going the way of the French Revolution ain't appealing for me. Everyone thinks they'll get to wear, instead of taste, the boot. This machine kills fascists. Wealth inequality cannot be solved by governments, while governments can be bought. It can be mitigated by the wealthy, but ultimately, they're as self-serving as anyone. The ones who learn to invest throughout the tree of life have an easier time dodging the guillotine. The ones who self-isolate through value signals forget just how easy drones are to buy, how freely available hacking tools are, and how drastically they have outnumbered themselves. Secret police are never secret from themselves nor their immediate loved ones. Liz Estrada is worth a laugh. We are all prisoners of circumstance, whether it's called fate, karma, luck, or providence. It's the not knowing that makes will free. Mix it up. Pick the seemingly suboptimal option and see what it offers. Paying taxes keeps death at bay, though neither option can be escaped much more than a blink. There are fundamental human pleasures, like cooking and music. Even the smallest task completed can please. Breathing is enough. The meditative act grants a deeper access to them. Eve Echoes is my favorite meditative tool. Nature does it better, and lock in for a long walk should you plan on spending any time with me whatsoever, but long hauls across the stars are a treat. Anything is better than nothing. Ish. Nothing is best. Silence and stillness always win as a matter of average existence alone. It's the depths of those absent moments that make the song and dance beautiful. Be kind. When cruelty is the common denominator, kindness is rebellion. It'll confuse those that need the reality check more than ever. I love you, dear monster. Die laughing. There's one section left. It's the jargon. Because I know all the trouble I'll get. Voices carry by Till Tuesday. Who edited this thing? I'm not reading that. The postscript. 3/7/77. The words you scribbled on the walls. A Favor House Atlantic by Coheed and Cambria. I ruin ever y thing I touch. Come home, O Orien. Give us a hug. Tell me about your day. Let me taste your smile. Let me drink your tears. Let us share in a moment as if each meal were real, the only one we should ever receive. Come home, Orien. We are waiting for you. Thank you. I hope you have a good day.